Donald Trump has just illegally entered the U.S. into war with Iran. I'm Jessica Denson, and you are watching a special live episode of Lights On. We are covering this illegal strike on Iran live. I'm going to be joined in just a moment by retired Navy Commander Phil Eyre and also retired Air National Guard Special Ops John Mazer. They are joining us from the Florida Democratic Party's, quote, Leadership Blue, their primary annual fundraising event. They very much wanted to, especially Commander Eyre, go on the record as to the illegality and unconstitutionality of this strike. This, in my unequivocal opinion, constitutes yet another impeachable offense, if not the gravest impeachable offense that Donald Trump has yet committed. This is, again, many in his own party are in opposition to this. He has done this without a war powers resolution, without authorization from Congress. I'm very honored to be joined now by Commander Phil Eyre. Commander Eyre, welcome back to Lights On.
Well, thank you, Jessica. The President of the United States is a felon. And when we, the American people, install somebody who is a convicted felon into the commander-in-chief's role, bad things happen. He has directed the U.S. military to conduct strikes against the production of nuclear weapons against the production of nuclear weapons in Iran, but it is actually not that. It is a war of choice into attacking a country whose our own intelligence assessment had been briefed to Congress to say that Iran was not imminently close to production of a weapon or the means to deliver that. So what we've done is we have discounted our own intelligence, and we have bought into the pleadings of another accused criminal who is leading the state of Israel. And there are emotions being manipulated in Israel. There are emotions being manipulated in the United States. The action that has been taken tonight constitutes a violation of the Constitution because it was really an act of war. In my opinion, it also violates the War Powers Act. And the strike on Iran was done without an articulated or an even thought of political end. We have Mr. Trump going on his social media saying and being very blatantly saying this is a great day for America, when we've just come out of a huge forever war that was not thought through very well and not conducted with a solid political aim in mind. And here we are again. Here we are again from someone who promised the American people we would not go to war. And then we do go to war based on somebody else's fantasy. It is not a fantasy that Iran has nuclear weapons or that Iran is aiming toward nuclear weapons. It is a fantasy that it was imminent. And so it is a fantasy to justify this attack on American interests when we were not imminently involved.
Absolutely. And the way you framed it, Commander Eyre, just a moment ago, when you were talking about his coalition with another accused criminal in Israel, someone who is not only someone who was running from accountability in his own country domestically from criminal charges for corruption in Israel, which I often point out to my audience as something that I think you cannot separate from the October 7th attack and Benjamin Netanyahu failing to listen to his own security advisors and the female Israeli officers on the southern border, on the Gaza border, who were informing him of an imminent attack. Yet he allowed that attack to happen. Why? Why does Donald Trump want war? In my opinion, this is the dictator playbook 101. Chaos is their currency. That is how they gain more power. I see it as obviously, this is someone who campaigned on false promises of promising peace for this country and this world. When look at how eager he is. If you did not believe us now, look at how eager he is to enter the United States of America into a global conflict.
You asked precisely the right question, Jessica. Why?
Yeah.
Why would have been justified had he had the guts to take it to Congress and consult the American people? Why would have been, or the reason would have been clear to us so we could get behind it. But now he's coming on television apparently in a little bit to try to explain that this is a great thing. They were just about to attack. Whatever he says, well, first of all, he has a credibility problem with the truth. Secondly, he hasn't gone to the people before an attack on something that was not imminently threatening the United States' interests. It was threatening his own political interests because we can just see that he's in trouble in many other ways. So if there was ever a time or wagging the dog was happening where a leader goes out, a rogue commander-in-chief goes out to violate the law, to put American troops in the region at risk of an actual attack on them, it is now, and that's it's untenable as a strategic decision because there's no end game, there's no political end game in sight, and it's dubious as a tactical decision because it's not going to destroy anything without regime change or occupation or something like that. There's no indication that the Iranian people are rising up to change the nature of their government. It might take out the supreme leader, but the police state, the ugly police state that is in Iran still exists. And this attack is making it worse. And it's again putting America's credibility as a nation of laws and using our firepower in accordance with law and our agreements with other countries at risk.
It absolutely is, which is why you have representatives, I just put this up on the screen, like Representative Sean Casten now being more vocal about impeachment. Like I opened this show with, it's a topic that I have been hammering relentlessly here on Lights On, and that is the need, whether you have the votes or not, whether the timing seems politically convenient or expedient or not, to initiate impeachment against this illegal president. This is what Sean Casten wrote tonight. He said, "This is not about the merits of Iran's nuclear program. No president has the authority to bomb another country that does not pose an imminent threat to the U.S. without the approval of Congress. This is an unambiguous, impeachable offense." And Commander Air, I just the other day watched a YouTube video from Sean Casten, kind of almost playing devil's advocate as to why we need investigations on certain impeachable matters and we should have inquiries and all kinds of things. Here he is saying this is unambiguous. This is not requiring an investigation. This is plain constitutional violation of the Article 1 authority of Congress in plain sight, as you were explaining, putting our country and frankly our world in so much danger. Commander Air, you're running for Congress. I've asked you this before to take a kind of preemptive position on impeachment, but if you were sitting in that House right now, would you be either filing yourself or backing articles of impeachment against Donald Trump?
I would be backing articles of impeachment, and there's a step to that. So we go to the inquiry. But look, Jessica, you are supposing that Congress is functional. It is not. You're supposing that there is on the Republican side, the MAGA side, and now the pro-war MAGA side that says we don't care what the law is. We don't care what the Constitution says. We are on path to follow Trump's lead. Trust in Trump is the most blasphemous, anti-American, unconstitutional thought to infect our decisions as a nation. And Jessica, if you don't mind, I'd like Mr. Mazur here to just say a bit of word. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Everything that's been just discussed is really the main concern. We're entering a war that is not legal in the first place. The problem is not just Trump himself. The problem is our Congress, both our congressmen and our senators are just being overrun and letting him do whatever he wants to do. There is a checks and balance, supposedly, and that's why we're in the situation we're in now. This should never have happened. Now, we're not in immediate danger, our country, from that nuclear. In fact, it's our intelligence tells us it's going to be not just weeks, but maybe still several years before they could ever actually fully develop a weapon. But right now, the biggest problem we're going to have is our sons and daughters and the young people, Americans that are over there in bases all over in that area, as just what they said would happen if we bombed them. They were going to attack every one of our sailors, our airmen, our soldiers everywhere in their area. So we've really got to watch out. We're going to possibly lose a lot of our children because of this event. Anyhow, it's an illegal. It was Trump not only being a criminal, and I brought this up earlier as we were talking, a reminder, we've all forgotten that you've already discussed it, but Netanyahu himself is a criminal. The reason why he's continuing the Gaza and now this is that's the only way he can stay in power. As soon as he's longer, he is going to be arrested himself. So
right.
We've got.
I didn't even mention his pending indictment by the International Criminal Court. So, like I started to say before, he's facing criminal charges domestically and internationally for his war crimes in Gaza. So this is, to me, it is so. To all of us who have been sounding the alarms about just how dangerous this is, just how dangerous a Trump presidency is, just how dangerous it is putting somebody in power who puts their own self-preservation. If I turned up MSNBC or CNN right now, Airman Mazer, they are literally debating what Donald Trump, who gave him the right advice, what advice he was given, if he was considering the implications. To me, it's all ridiculous because we know this man does not, those are not his motivations. The well-being of the United States has never been a motivation of Donald Trump. His own preservation is his motivation.
But the main problem is our Republican-led Congress, have allowed him to do whatever he wants to do. They are every Republican that's ever supported him and continues to support him is every bit as responsible as he is. He couldn't do this without their just not doing their job as checks and balances. So
well, here you are, you and Commander Air speaking about the Republicans, and this is a perfect opportunity to point out how fractured they are in this moment. Some will bend the knee, many will bend the knee. Tulsi Gabbard has allowed him to edit her own statements before Congress just in the last few days and said, yes, dear leader Trump, I said what you wanted me to say, even though that's not what I really said. But here is Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, who has over the past few days been creating a coalition that literally includes AOC and Ro Khanna to try to have, if anything were going to be, any action was going to be taken against Iran, be through a War Powers Act. Thomas Massie, in light of these attacks, has come out and said the Iran attack is unconstitutional. So, Commander Aaron, my opinion, and I've been very explicit with you on my show and with my audience just repeatedly about how I think the Democratic Party can't wait for this sometimes hypocritical, sometimes treasonous, every once in a while clear, like Thomas Massie is, Republican Party MAGA constituency to come to their senses. The Democrats have to take ownership of this moment. The Democrats have to define for the nation just how dangerous and unconstitutional and illegal it is. And whether or not the Democrats have the numbers, they need to drive the ship, take over the narrative, and basically be the leadership in this country that we do not have by this illegal president in the White House.
And what you say, Jessica, is also very good at persuading those people, those members of Congress who say, well, we're not going to pursue impeachment because you don't have the votes in the Senate. Well, guess what? Now we need to get Congress, the House, and every member on the record about this war because we are at greater risk. John was just saying maybe the United States here in continental North America is not affected. Well, we could be, but we do know that our interests in the Middle East, to include the potential or the threat of closing the Hormuz Straits and driving up the cost of fuel in our country and around the world, is on the table. And if you were Iran, you would take that for action. And again, that's a debate that should have been held in Congress in this time, well before Israel struck it. Completely right after Israel struck, before this rogue commander-in-chief took us to war, because we are on a war footing, and it's unacceptable. And so we're playing by rules that are outside of the Constitution, and there are no rules. So Congress, you are leaders. Congress, you need to step up and check this president.
We're in this situation because a criminal, our president, is listening to and believing another criminal, the president of Israel, who again is worrying just so he can stay in power over our own security forces, our own intelligence. He believes another criminal, this criminal believes another criminal more than he does our own intelligence services, and that's why we're in this situation. And that's, to me, the Republicans have created this situation, giving him the power to put us in this situation. Our whole country and our young people that are in the services over there are in grave danger right now.
They absolutely are. I was speaking to a friend just a few minutes before we got together on this live, and she was telling me about scenarios that she has studied and seen about playing out the eventuality of entering into war with Iran. And none of those exercises end up good for the United States. Could either of you kind of just weigh in on just how dangerous this is to strike at a country that is a terrorist sponsor state that does not operate with the kind of strategic diplomacy considerations that we do and that our allies do? Just what a provocation this in fact is for the United States of America to bomb Iran.
Well, I would never want to counsel appeasement, and we are not. So we know that Trump's going to come on board and say, "Hey, this is peace through strength." It is not peace through strength. It is warfare to distract from his own misgivings or mispolicies, wrong actions for the American people. But to your question specifically, what kind of a threat, what kind of a provocation is it? It is a provocation. It is irresponsibly putting our oil supply at risk. It is irresponsibly putting our allies further away from us, pushing our allies further away from us when we've gone into a preventive war on a illegal basis instead of a preemptive action that might be subject to debate, but in any case, not considered by Congress, which is our constitutional authority for going to war. Now, John has been responsible for commercial activities in aviation in the region around the world. You might have something to say about the risk to commerce and travel, air travel.
It was already dangerous enough.
John, give me one moment. I'm just going to preemptively tell our audience, if for any reason you lose me, it is because I am working on a data connection and battery that is limited at the moment. As you can see, I'm doing this from far. So if this live cuts out, that is why. But let's do our best. So go on, John.
If you do get cut off, I just want to say thank you very much for enlightening your listeners about this. It was difficult enough whenever I flew to Israel and different places as a senior international airline captain for many, many, many years. It was already dangerous without this going on. So right now, I don't know that we can fly in that area, but I know any of the people that we have, our residents, are in grave danger anywhere else in the world, not just in that immediate area, but all over the world now are at risk. While the Republicans and President Trump have diminished our support from our allies. He's coalescing the support for the Arab countries to unite against us everywhere else, not just in Iran. So our folks are in great danger right now, all because of this.
All the more reason for these individuals in Congress who have all sworn an oath to defend and protect our Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. You two gentlemen have actually put your lives on the line for that. As I understand, you're in a room full and a gathering full of veterans tonight in Florida. When could be a more important time to put off political considerations, strategic planning for the future, and take imminent action now to stop this threat in honor of the sacrifice of people like you?
Well, thank you very much. Our veterans did get, when we heard about the news in the grand ballroom there for the gala dinner, and we had some very great and inspiring speakers. The president of our caucus called us out, asked us to go to this private room, and we talked about it for a while. We were all incensed, and John and I have stayed behind to speak with you, and they've gone out to talk about it with the other folks as well. But
what I'd like to say is, as veterans, we've both been in war before. We're not done. As veterans, we're going to have to restart another war just to fire up our congressional leaders to do the right thing, to not give this bully criminal the right to do what he does without some overseeing, just not letting him just do whatever he wants, putting us all at risk. So it's almost like, as veterans, since we've been through this before, we have to roll up our sleeves. That's what we just had a big meeting of all the veterans here, veteran leaders from around the state. That's what we've just had our meeting about. We have to roll up our sleeves and start another war to prevent this guy. Since Congress isn't going to do it, we have to help keep our country safe. We have to continue to do it like we've always done it, like our guys out there now are doing for us, but now they're in much greater risk because of the unrestrained power that he has with our Republican leaders.
If I don't lose you, John, what does that war look like that you're talking about?
From our point, we're not rolling up our sleeves and getting our uniforms back on. You know, if we have to, we will. Absolutely, just like they're doing in Ukraine, and just like they are doing. Everybody of every age is actually doing that. It may come to that with the leader that we have. This is only his, 150 some days into like a 4-year term. It may actually come to that like they're doing in Ukraine. Everybody, from young kids to older gentlemen, have to roll up their sleeves and fight. It may happen that we think we're so safe here, but we're no longer safe. And it's not just them we have to keep an eye. If he's not going to listen, he meaning the criminal president of the United States that we have, if he's not going to listen to our own intelligence, we're going to have activists, actors, terrorist actors from other parts of the world coming after us, and they'll be coming over here in the United States, not just our troops that are immediately at risk right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was an attack tonight or very soon, because that's what they said they were going to do if President Trump does order, bombing like he just did today.
Commander Eyre?
My thoughts, and well, yeah. So the last thought I think for this live, or at least from me, would be to say a prayer for our country, and to keep the families of those who are deployed in our prayers, and also, of course, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that are deployed in the region, because they are working hard. I've been there flying. I've been there on the ground. I've been there, working in warfare, in war in that region. It is a dangerous place. Anything could happen, and I'm praying that they remain at the top of their tactical game, because the strategic game from the president has been just that, a cynical, ugly game that has put America at risk. Thank you, Jessica, for letting me speak.
And I believe also that we're now home and away in great risk because of this action, without any oversight by our Congress. Shame on them for not doing their job. They are just as accountable as the president himself.
Okay. Jessica's battery may have died, and she may have kept me on live, but I'm going to sign out here from where are we? We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I want to thank everybody. God bless America.
God bless America.